Whew. What's going on, everyone? Give me a sec. Get everything set up. We're gonna be good to go. If you're from my other channel, Option Drops, then really nice to have you. We're gonna be kind of just going over really just like in depth of like everything that it takes to be, I guess, a full-time trader, intraday, getting like into that as well. I think that there's like a lot of things that are misconceptions. I think there's a lot of kind of glorify day trading and act like it's very simple. So that's what we're gonna be covering today, going over that. A little bit of a different viewpoint here on the channel. A lot of education stuff here primarily, but I definitely think this will be big. So cool. I'll get some music going in the background as well. So yeah. Anyways, start setting up some questions as well. So if y'all have anything we can ask, we can go over some charts and stuff as well. But yeah, I really just want to dive into exactly what you guys want to know specifically. Okay. Few things though I do want to talk about like as we get into it though. I will be answering a lot of questions, and I actually don't mind answering questions too about like the business of like YouTube with option drops and the aspect of how that goes and anything that goes into detail with that, because that was ultimately like a side or a different viewpoint of just what I wanted to do with day trading. But there was a lot before that too, like prior to 2021, being so heavily involved in the space and different aspects. A lot of people ask like where I started to when it came into crypto or futures or commodities, and a lot of it did start with crypto and commodities. That was a pretty big viewpoint. What's going on, guys? And that was definitely kind of the start, but it definitely wasn't. There was a lot more that went into that. So I do want to highlight that also. But it's definitely going to be a lot. It's definitely going to be interesting too, being this open about some of this stuff. But we'll see how it goes. What's going on? And guys, like too, I do want to encourage people to ask like whatever questions you do have. This is definitely gonna be one of the few times I get these questions a lot on, Option Drops channel. I was kind of saving this for here. I thought this would just be a better place to kind of go over this stuff. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of like some of the few questions that we have had about like what it takes and stuff, and kind of like what it's really like. I definitely think that the aspect of, being a day trader, you trade for 30 minutes a day and you're done. And I definitely think a viewpoint of that with me is different because, of course we do have, the YouTube channel with option drops of like almost like a daily news channel, which it can really be a lot. Then we have Discord to where we're kind of catering to, 800-900 people. And then there's Twitter and there's social media and constantly posting. So there's definitely a different viewpoint with me with that, as far as not being able to disconnect maybe as much. I mean, that was my own choice. But even with day trading though, I think it's very tough. I think Bitcoin, ETH this year, hard to say. But guys, this really isn't like I don't want to spend too much time covering charts in this one. Like we can 100% like near the end. But I definitely want to do more of a Q&A and give you guys the opportunity, because we've had so many opportunities here like to ask questions about, you know, like getting into day trading and next steps. Also just made like a video and like introduction to Discord and stuff. So I wanted to cover that. And like here, I don't really like to talk about on this channel, like, you know, any paid content or anything like that. I like this channel to be like totally free. But kind of was in the mood today to go over different viewpoints today, or at least like a different like insight to, you know, what it's really like. So if you'll have questions about like, you know, getting into day trading, how did I get into it? You know, the beginning, college. I get the college question all the time. Like, Tyler, like, was college really worth it? That's the $1 million question I get. And I will say that too. We can actually start with that too, because that's ultimately where I started day trading, was in college. Probably like, it's actually before I even enrolled. But I mean, freshman, sophomore years where it was really the learning curve. And I want to say this too, like before we get too in depth with it, of when you're looking at getting into trading and stuff, people ask how long I've been trading for. I usually don't even include the first like year and a half, 2 years. I'm gonna tell you right now, like that, I really don't even include those because it was so much learning and so much losing. But yeah, man, Gotti, how'd you get into this, and how'd you get into school? How did you get good at trading, and did you study this at school? So in school, you're not gonna learn anything about technicals. That's like rule number one. If you look at like anything with, you know, Wall Street, or anything with, you know, with trading in general, you're not going to get this viewpoint of technicals are the way with investing. Like if I was to go to pitch to you know, someone to buy a stock or anything at an investment firm, or if I was the investment firm pitching to a client, I would never pitch anything with technicals. Usually it would all be based on fundamentals, outlook, profitability, reading earnings statements, reading the financials, understanding, you know, where they're going. Are they undervalued? Are they overvalued? Can they grow? Are they in a niche space? Can they get out of the space? So you look at more than just charts. So I can look at technicals, but like end of the day, big companies, the big investors, they don't care about this. Now, as far as like, I can give you an instance, like looking at like, and this is going somewhere. So like when I look at the weekly on oil, and oil, this is actually USO. We can go look at the barrel. And when you look at the barrel, kind of just turn everything off and go to the weekly. I mean, like, of course, this is going to matter to a certain extent, because during COVID, you came down to like negative barrel. The dollar and the barrel's worth like 50 cents. So obviously, yeah, that's, you know, crazy. But going from that, though, it's important to realize that, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to pitch that idea unless, you know, some of that. The trading's your full-time job? Yes, yeah. I do make income from YouTube. YouTube's pretty minimal, though. I think like right now I'm making like, from option drops, like giving you food for thought, making like maybe 1,800. Sponsorships, minimal. Don't even have any sponsors right now. I have Bookmap, but that's like a long term, which rarely happens. So I don't rely on that. But I love Bookmap. Love the team over there. I love their product. I use it almost every day. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. So besides that, I'm gonna answer this question. But so in school when I studied, I just studied finance. Finance at UH Bauer. That's where I was. And so it was heavy into like fundamentals and understanding like different visuals and different perspectives of potential investments. The oily options, Canadian line. That's yeah. So yes, school wasn't necessarily about by any means. It wasn't technicals whatsoever. Technicals were all self-learned, and like the interesting part of like learning technicals and stuff is when you look back on it, like people always have like mentors and stuff, but with me it was definitely all self-taught. It was a lot of YouTube trial and error. I've tried the crazy indicators. I've tried Fibonacci's and Elliott waves, and it was a lot for me, and it just never worked. And then eventually I came into supply and demand, and if you look at that, it kind of like sides right into fundamental analysis in a way, because you're really just basing trades based on previous, past, current volume and what's happening with stocks. And so when that happened, it really just kind of like made the turn for myself, and that's where success really, played into. There was a few people like on YouTube, like ICT. He didn't have his YouTube stuff back then when I started. Now ICT has a ton of YouTube stuff, so it's really cool. I think there's some of it that's a little bit overcomplicated, but I think some of his stuff is really good. And like kind of the basis of how I try to make my stuff here now is a lot of trying to simplify it for everyone. I don't want to make it difficult. I try to make it as simple as possible, because I think when we overcomplicate things, it's usually either it's a turnoff or it's dangerous, because then we just create too many areas to find fault in. And that was like kind of my thing in the beginning too. But yeah, so how old was when I first started? Really probably 18, but 19 is a better look. Now I'm 25. I just turned 25 in December. But again, I never, like when people ask me, they're like, hey, how many years you been trading? I promise I never include the first year and a half. That was like, I had some big wins. First trade ever was Litecoin. I remember I bought it shortly after, I think, my 18th birthday. I bought it at around, I think it was 18th or 19th birthday, but I bought it at like $30. And then it ended up running towards 300, right? So I remember I sold like 4 days before Christmas, and that was like the coolest thing. It got me addicted to trading. I was like, this is ridiculous. You can make money online. Who would have thought? And then, it was kind of downhill from there, because my mentality was all about like making money that quick, right? Because I instantly made, I think it was like $16,000, maybe close to 20. It was a while back. It was a long time ago. I ended up losing a lot of that in crypto just because being, a stupid young kid. But yeah. And so like the mindset was totally different. And that's why I always say too, when I'm talking about on option drops, is always like having a real perspective of trading and not going into it with this gambler's mentality, or, okay, I gotta eventually win, or I'm due, or I'm this, or I'm that. And I think that's the dangerous part of trading, when you start thinking from that viewpoint. So yeah, but especially when you're young. And that's why when older people, when I talk to older people and they're gamblers, I kind of feel less bad. When you're younger, and I say younger, I really mean like under 21. If you're older than 21, you're older. But like if you're like 21, it's like I tend to give you a pass, because I'm like, you're young. It's just like, it's a lot. I think trading is like probably 50% emotions and being able to detach, maybe even more. But yeah, so that's like the biggest part for me. Sec. I thought Jay was a mod. So yeah, imagine being a full-time oils trader. That is interesting, man, Gotti. So like when oil hit that bottom down here, it's worth mentioning. Like that's what I did during this time, and I did end up playing oil during COVID, but I did a lot of research into oil, and I researched who was long, who was short. I did a lot of that information or research on that to make sure and like to learn from that. And I think people don't do that. It's like, so when people ask me about college, and I get the college questions so much of like, is college necessary? I think what college did for me too, and this is like just my point of view, I think I'm one of the few people that will talk about day trading that will be honest about this. I think that college prepared me to put in the work into trading. I think that's the best way to put it. I think that college mentally prepared me to learn about looking deeper. And that's what really you do when you study finance, in my opinion, is you're looking very deep into companies, right? You're looking very deep into finance. It's a lot of boring work. And I would say that I don't use too much of my finance degree to look at some of these earning statements right now, just because we're just getting hit so bad. So when I'm doing that and I look at, charts specifically, that's why I'm always so kind of pessimistic in my viewpoint, right? So even if I'm like right now I'm a bear on the market, right? I still view it as, okay, well, where could I go wrong, or how could this, affect me in a negative way? Like that's the dangers for me. And so I'm thinking about it from a million different perspectives. And I think I learned a lot of that from college. But that's like the hard part to like really use as a use case. I know college is $1 million question. Everyone asks me like, should I go to college? I'm like, I always tell people every day, if someone asks me about college, I'm like, look, how much money do you have? They're usually like, I don't make any money. That's the reason why I'm asking. And if you're dependent on yourself, I think there's zero reason to not go to community college and get your associates by any means. Your associates is gonna make it 10 times easier if you ever need to get a job. And like for me, like when I was in college, my viewpoint, I was never gonna really work for anyone else. That was never my goal by any means. I come from my dad does real estate development. He's not rich by any means, but he's definitely, I would say since my college days till now, his business has blown up far more. But my mentality was like, I will get this finance degree. I just love stocks. I love the researching aspect. I loved everything to do with it. But I was like, worst case scenario, I go work in real estate development. I work under him for a little bit, and I can go more into about like me working in that, how terrible that was. I was by no means spoiled or anything like that. I grew up in Lamarck, Texas City area. We didn't move into like a really great area until I was around 15 is when we finally moved out of, I'm not going to say we lived in the ghetto, but you can look at Lamarck, Texas. It's not the greatest area. But yeah. One sec. I'm trying to see questions. How do you set profit goals as a trader? Can't help but feel unproductive if I take a week off. Market is giving. So again, I think that college or not college. Sorry, I'm reading two questions at once. Setting profits. My profits are based on personal goals and what my trading portfolio is. Okay, so let's say I'll give you an instance right now. Trading portfolio is sitting around 55, 57K right now for me, right? And when I was younger, I'll use this past year as an example. And I usually have a rule for myself personally when I trade is to keep it around like 15 to 20,000. I don't really like going more than that. But I just had like an excess in my bank account, and I wasn't buying stuff long term yet. I didn't want to just sit there. I was like, I can up my risk, do whatever I want with that. But I generally don't target more than 20% growth. I mean, that's a lot. Like 20% growth in a month is a lot. So don't get me wrong. But my targets are never more than something, attainable, right? So I'm not looking to make even 20%, right? So I'm looking to make $10,000 a month from a 50K account. That's really great. That's fantastic. It's great. But then you have to start managing in risk and then the emotion that comes in behind that, because my emotion levels are going to be far different than if I'm trading with, a 10K position than if I'm trading with a $2,000 position, right? So my emotions are going to be a little bit different, and then how much money do I actually have in my bank account also? So those are different things I think you have to view. But when I'm setting profits on my overall, goals for my account, not just a trade, it's definitely just around personal goals. So usually what I try to do is go like 1,000 over my monthly cost of living. So whatever that may be. I mentioned that a lot on my other channel. I just don't want to mention that right now. But yeah, so that's usually what my goal is for the month. And then I kind of divided it from there to what I'm going to do excess from that. And I went into this, like the past or the final 3 months of trading were really, really good for me. And I made a lot on the end of 2020, back into 2022. So when I start making more, usually I'll up my risk or I'll up my targets maybe. So if my target for the month is to make $6,000 and I make 6,000 in like the first, 2 weeks of trading, I'm not just going to usually take off the rest. Well, and that's different for me and it can be different for you because you're obviously doing a lot. We're different. I have to do a lot more than you most likely, right? And what I mean by that is I have to be on Twitter, I have to be on YouTube, I have to be, in Discord helping people, I have to be answering DMs, I have people, that do like the mentorship stuff, and then I have all this free content that I do. So I'm always watching the market. I don't really get a chance to disconnect from it. And I think that's the biggest difference, right? And so when I look at that viewpoint of it, I usually try to like either up my risk or change a little bit of what I'm doing based on how I'm performing. So it's kind of always a variable, but then if I kind of start going on like a losing streak, I'll just disconnect and stop trading. And I'll usually be really verbal about that, like with everyone. I'm like, I'm doing bad. I shouldn't get away. And you'll hear me say that all the time. Like I'm just done. But yeah, that was a really good question about, targets and taking profits. Speak on the Uber Eats grind. Okay, so this is like my favorite thing to talk about because people always act like you don't have enough money or you can't make the income. So let me tell you about how I start. Let me tell you about the beginnings of option drops. So this is really interesting. So when I had to be 21. I'm trying to think what year it was. It was 2000. No, I was 22. So back in the 2021, I believe, right? That should be 20. Is it 2020, 2020? It may have been 2020. So I might have been, yeah. I think it was 2020, like almost near the end of COVID. So I didn't start YouTube and stuff during COVID. Really, I started at the end of COVID, which was a huge mistake. I should have started during COVID, but I couldn't because of a lot of stuff that was happening. And this is kind of an excuse on my part because I ended up doing it even though all this stuff was happening to me. It just took longer. So during 2019, if you guys don't know, I was a single dad. Now I'm like in a pretty like long-term relationship that'll move forward down the line. But and had my son about 6 months after I graduated high school. I was in freshman in college getting my associates. And then broke up with a high school girlfriend like right when I started college. So I was kind of like just doing whatever I wanted to do. Got someone pregnant on shortly after Christmas break, my first semester in college. And so it changed option drops wedding. So that changed everything. Obviously getting someone pregnant freshman year of college. I'll never forget. I had to drive like 30 minutes to get to my community college. Don't ask why. So I was driving like 30 minutes. And I remember I got like a call like 6 o'clock because what I would do is I would take morning classes every day. So I would take all my classes as early as possible so I could get out of school by 11. And then I would usually work from 11 to around 6 because I worked with my dad in his real estate development. And that might sound luxurious, but when you imagine, and this is not like racist by any means, but when you imagine, and people always say, oh, you pick up like a Hispanic or something from like Home Depot or side of the road and they do day labor. That's really what happens in like Texas and California. But instead of that, I was that guy. So I was doing a lot of demo. I was going to the dump. I was doing a lot of grunt work, right? That a technical person can't do in real estate development. And so that was great. I was getting paid like 20, 25 an hour from my dad. So that was good, but it was really manual labor. Definitely, he definitely lives by the mentality of my kids are going to pay their dues. And, his mentality too was like, one day I want Tyler to take over everything and, run everything, but I didn't really want to be in real estate development. I kind of just been there so long. I think I'm going to work in it eventually and have, investment properties and stuff. And I'm working on that right now. But I never wanted that to be my focus. I always loved stocks. Anyways, so from that, I would work. So that's what I would do. I'd go to school, get out by 11, and then by 6 or something, I would just do whatever I wanted. Usually I would either, I would chart crypto, Forex, futures, all that. That's what I would do. Okay. So it was just a repetition, right? And so then I get the girl knocked up, and I remember like, dude, I hate saying this was like the worst day of my life, but it was like the worst like feeling of my life. It was more of like, not that I did not want my son. That was not what I wanted. It was just a lot of pressure at a young age that definitely changed everything. So from that visual, I remember I was like, dude, like life is over. College, kiss it like out the window. Like probably not going to university. It's going to be incredibly difficult. I now have to pay extensive amount of bills. I just didn't know. I was like, man, now I'm stuck in a 9-to-5 most likely, right? And so ended up, working through that. And so by the time I had my son, obviously like almost a year later, still in college, sophomore, finishing up there. From there, I basically stopped working with my dad. I worked with him here and there, on and off, but I did a lot of like DoorDash and a lot of the side gig stuff so I could change my hours. So what I started doing is I would go to school around, I would never go in the earliest class, or if I did go in the earliest class, it had to be at 7 to 8 so I could get out to do New York stock market open. And then I would make sure I would finish all my classes from like 11 till 3. because then I could make as much money as possible doing DoorDash from 4 to around 7:39. And so from 4 to 7:39, I knew if I timed that in Houston, it was peak hours doing DoorDash, so I could make around 150 to 200 bucks in 4 hours. And so I knew that was just the easiest money. I had a really like trash junker car too, which I probably didn't take that good care of. Sorry. But yeah, so that's what I did. And then at night, I'd be back for, I'd probably like take a nap, finish homework. And then around 1:30 to 2:30 is London's open. And then I would trade London open. And I would just repeat that over and over and over and over and over. And that's how I would like schedule all my times. And so that basically went on until 2019. Or no, not 2019, maybe 2020, like right before COVID. And then I talked to a personal friend that I knew, and he told me, he was like, hey, look, your schedule is ridiculous. And mind you, during this time, I didn't party. I didn't go anywhere. I don't think I drank from like 21. Like this, I only remember because 21 is when I became like legal to drink. So from 21 to like 23, I don't think I drank at all. I didn't party. I didn't go out. I didn't go on vacations. I didn't do anything. I like, it was just like in my head, I didn't like earn the right to spend money like that. So I just didn't. And so I spent all of like my free time, like doing charts and learning how to do this. And then ultimately around 2020, my friend told me during COVID, he's like, look, because like all I did in my free time too, if I wasn't doing anything, I would usually like play games. And I mean, that was like my mental release time. It was like playing PUBG. So when I finished, they were like, look, your schedule's crazy, man. You're ridiculous. And so him and my other friend was getting his master's at Indiana. And he was like, look, you should get into like options. That's what I do. It's just more manageable. You can swing. You don't have to be as attentive sometimes. Just based on your strategy and what you want to do. And so what he did is he traded low IV plays. And so specifically with COVID, he made a lot of money. So what he would do is he would watch therapeutics surrounded around the COVID vaccine, and he would watch for the IV to get really low. Like I think Sorrento was one, Moderna obviously at like $30, $40 was one, Pfizer, etc. The more. And that was a strategy. And so I started watching, and it worked. It worked really well. I was like, this is interesting. But there was just so many different strategies. And so I started getting into options, and I really got in at a great time because I got in essentially when, everything was this low, like on that major dip. Like my biggest play in options was one of my first plays, and it was win. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up hammering $100 calls when we were down near $60. And so I hammered those and held those for like I think I sold on our first push up to 100 because we just got in the money. And I remember I made a lot off of that. So that was what I did. And that just kind of like sparked that, getting into that. But really all this was fueled by, me doing and, terrible work, either with my dad or doing, side work, doing DoorDash or the grocery shopping one. I did that too. I made good money from it. Like no complaints. I mean, that's when people say they don't have money to trade. I'm like, no, you just don't got your priorities. Cause that's what I did. So, that was, a bulk. And so if someone said, at least you didn't waste your time with binary options. Yeah, true. And if you don't know binary options, it's basically two sides of it. So you can do like, spreads and stuff like that. So, but I think that options, like either way, I lost like in that the period. The reason why I was working so much, obviously, was because I was losing money in those first 2 years. It was a learning curve. That's what people ask me about, like, hey, what do you think about, paper accounts? I'm just like, I don't think they're that important because you're not gonna really understand the emotional part of it. You're not gonna really learn the value of what you're trading. That's the biggest thing with me is like I have to understand the value of what I'm trading or what I'm doing, right? So like at a young age for me, I learned the value of money because I knew $20 or $25 meant that I was doing an hour of really terrible labor, right? Which like was fine. It was awesome. Like, and now like, I reap the benefits because if I want to do any properties, my dad's totally fine. He wants to, like, he's always texting me and trying to get me to do stuff with him. So yeah, that's like the important part of that. But like, I also understand that like it's either, make it $200 now. That means that was like when I used to get out of school, I'd be deadbeat tired. I would work from 3:30, 4 o'clock till 7, 8 o'clock at night, driving around doing, and I had the numbers down. So in Houston, they would do bonuses at night for DoorDash. So if I did 3 orders in an hour, delivered three orders, that's what I try to do. And if I was really like lucky, I could do 4 in an hour. I would make around sometimes 50 to 70 an hour, depending on how fast I could do them. But sometimes you just can't do them fast. But like I always remember that, like anytime I make money or make a deposit in my account, I'm just like, I just remember like that's like my visual here. So, that's the aspect that, went into that. So it wasn't like this easy process, but I also like encourage people too, of like when they look at things, it's like, don't look at them as far as like, oh, I don't have enough money. I'm like, bro, you just got to set your priorities right. Like, people always say like, oh, it's just too hard. Day trading's a scam. I'm like, no, it's like, how many hours did you put in this week, like doing it? For me, it was a life. Like it was a lot. And like the biggest regrets that I have, is, having my son during that time too, is because when I started doing options in 2020, that's really 2019 is when I separated from the mother of my child, and it was just like mutual. We just separated. And then I had to go to court to get like establish my rights, because like I didn't want to just see my kid every other weekend. That's what you're going to get usually. Like if you're a dad and you don't have primary custody, you weren't married, that's what you'll get. So I went to court and I spent basically all my savings of what I had in futures and stuff. The retainer was $5,000. And then from that, it went even further. So, I ended up spending close to $7,000 on my attorney, paying off college, bills I had, paying for my son also, and then, going from child support for that. And I will say, like, I did not have to pay a lot of child support in the beginning, but I mean, I wasn't making any money. You know what I mean? Now I pay a sizable amount. Like, I'm not going to like go into detail with that, but it's a decent amount. So when I look at that, like, I had to give up a lot. And I don't think people understand that, like, when you want to be successful in something, it requires a lot of sacrifice. And so for me, with my son, it required a lot. Like, first of all, it required a lot of money to even have the time with him, because now I get him every Thursday. I get him overnight, and then I get him every first, third, and fifth weekend, Thursday through Monday. And then I get him like 40 days in the summer, and the holidays obviously split up. So it's like it averages out to like 43% of the time, which is like, again, like it's just like that required a lot. You know what I mean? It required me putting, this on the back burner for like basically a year, because in 2020 I kind of took a break. I would still chart and stuff and take some small trades, but it was like I had to put it on the back burner so I could pay for my attorney. And then I had to get a different 9-to-5 job, and that was tough with college, finishing, university. But yeah, that's what that took. And then ultimately, when I started to get successful at it, and fast forward to, I believe, December 2020, I quit my 9-to-5. I had 2 credit cards, and so my debt limit was going to be like at 10,000 on those credit cards. And I was like, so this is what I'm gonna do. I started doing TikTok before that, and I got to TikTok to like 25K subscribers or something, and then I stopped posting on TikTok because I wasn't making any money. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna do YouTube. I'll go all on YouTube, and then like if that doesn't work, I guess I'll just go back to 9-to-5. I don't know, like until I can save enough money to get back into trading. I knew I needed about like $4,000 to actively make money trading. And so I made the YouTube channel. I got to 1,000 subscribers in a month, and I almost reached the limit on time, and I was like almost there. So I was like, I'll go one more month. And so after 2 months, I was about like $6,000 in debt, because I was paying for things I needed for YouTube, like camera, and then my bills, obviously. And so during this time I wasn't working. I literally was just full time, just making videos, making content, wasn't charging anything. And then the end of January hit. Obviously, I made an AMC video that went like viral or whatever, blew up my channel. But also, I got hired on by this other group of people, and they were paying me like $3-4 grand a month just for my YouTube channel. They were just like, they hired me on to just give analysis and stuff. And I was young at the time too. I was like, dude, awesome, dream job, cool, sign me up, right? I was still finishing college, making $3-4 grand a month from that. And then I basically was like, I just want to go out on my own. Stop doing this. Cause it was like, they were charging like 120 a person and stuff. And I was like, I was making good money. So it wasn't like a complaint on my part, but like I noticed like a lot of people on my end just they didn't have the capability to pay that much. And so I wanted to make something more affordable. I made like the Patreon, started the community. I remember we got to like first year, got to like 400 people. Now the whole thing's at like 900. Really great success. And so that's kind of how that rolled out there. But yeah, that's like really the origins of everything. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot of time though. But yeah, so like during that time of like growing all that, people don't realize, what you give up in the process of that. So I'm not going to say that I didn't spend a lot of time with my son, because like the perks of what I do is now when I have my son, usually I don't do any work at all. Like right now he is with like, I have him this weekend, but he's like I think he's like out, him and my mom like went out to like lunch or something. So I was like, I'll just do a live real quick. And so like the luxury now is, now that I sacrifice all that, now when I have him, I get to spend basically, every minute I have doing whatever he wants to do. I don't have to pay for daycare. I don't have to, he doesn't have to really go with me anywhere. Or if I have to work, I got him a custom hammock underneath my desk. So he usually sits underneath my desk with his like Nintendo Switch, or he brings his tent in here, or it's always like built around him. So I look back and I'm like, man, those years when he was like 2 to like 3 was really tough because I didn't get to spend a lot. I was so hyper focused on work and making money. So this would be possible. But yeah, that's the biggest like kind of sacrifice I probably had to make. But that was a really interesting question too. New York labor as well. Same thing. I started doing grunt work, hard labor. Then I started studying plans to have an edge on my competitors. 3 of us now. Then now there's 20 of us. Yeah. So it's like, I think that's the aspect with anything though. It's like, just like, are you willing to put in that work? And I think it's like it's a tough thing to do, but it's also like, because sometimes you don't have a clear, this is what you get, a clear reward at the end. Right. And that was with me too, is like, I could do this when I was going into that debt. It was definitely like, I could have definitely just been $10,000 in debt. You know what I mean? In credit card debt at that, which would have been very high interest. But it worked out. You know what I mean? Giving y'all another instance too. There's actually, I can give countless. Give you a visual of this one. This is let me repost this on Twitter too. I don't know. Everyone's literally commenting, when are you gonna do that live? I'm like, I just posted the live. What do you mean? Yeah, so, and this is not to run anyone down. This is just like, sometimes things don't go the way you want them to go, right? And then like, because I think like a lot of people get, I think a lot of people get down on themselves that things don't work out maybe the way they want them to. So giving you a visual. So in 2018, I believe. Yeah. So between basically 16, 17 through 2018, almost into 19, I was heavily into futures and crypto. Crypto was like just like the space where I started, and a lot of people followed me on social media. So that was like that's just where everyone was in. That's where everyone wanted to know. So I had this idea of establishing kind of what Discord is now, but it was different in the sense of there was like no like talk about trades, but it was more of just building a really large community for a low price, to where, because, and if you don't know, like, you can look at the statistics, and like I read heavily about this too when I was in college. If you have a paywall of $2 or $1, let's say $1, a paywall of $1 and a free, the group of the paywall of $1 are going to be far more invested or more reliable. There's going to be a better base than the free. Okay, no matter what. You can do this. They've done extreme statistics, tests on this. It just will. And so that's what I want to do. I want to do like a really low, like $5 just community, like really low. And at the time, my Twitter was huge because it was all about crypto. I had a really big Twitter at the time. Now it's small. Now my Twitter is the 3,500. I mean, I did restart this one in October, so I guess that's cool. But anyways, and the guys I was working with at the time were, I still have the DMs. They were some of my biggest motivations. Nope, not Credible. This is Credible stock. It's funny he made Credible stocks. So this guy, Credible Crypto, 300,000. At the time, he had like 100K. And then Trader Cause. No hard feelings at these guys at all. Trader Cause has 100. He had like maybe 40,000 at the time. Anyways, so I approached them. I approached Cause first. And we were doing this at a very small scale in the beginning, kind of working our way towards it. And then we approached Credible with the idea because he was bigger than us and he had a really big audience. And we're like, look, it's like extremely cheap. We're not like offering signals or anything like that. We were, easing our way into it. And we were like, this could really work. Form this into an app. Like it's going to work. So Cause ends up, he lives in Sacramento or lives in California. And then they ended up going up to Sacramento and they ended up meeting up on like a vacation. And they ended up starting it all without me and kind of leaving without me, which at the time was really, really tough. I think they instantly had over 2,000, 3,000 subs until it was crazy. It blew up instantly. And they started charging, I think it was like $100. So they went like a huge paywall up. And I was just like, dude, what? Like, I remember I was devastated. It was killer on the ego. It was tough. I was like, wow. Like I guess they didn't steal my idea. They just said, screw it, we're just going to charge people more. So that's what they did. And then it ended up, so right now, I don't think they have anything going on. So they ended up like nullifying it. They didn't do it. I know something ended up happening in their relationship. I think Cause kind of got screwed out of it because he didn't have like anything like in writing or anything. And then Credible just kept upping the price and kicked him out and had some new people come in for cheaper. I believe that's what happened. And so that's where it is now. I mean, all love to Cause. It's tough, but yeah, that's what happened there. Anyways, long story short, ended up working out. Now we have option drops. Now we have the YouTube. The YouTube channel blew up. None of them had a YouTube channel with any size. But yeah, that was a huge moment in in all of it. That was tough. I'm not gonna lie. That was the toughest part of it all. Being in debt wasn't that bad. Being in debt was pretty tough. Not making a lot of money in the beginning was really hard. But that was like, I was like, dude, I was that close and it just didn't work. But it ended up working out in the end. Not sure if I'm wording this correctly, but I'm having trouble when it comes to looking at volume as a day trading indicator. I'll probably make a video on that soon. I'm not really going over those type of questions today. I'm trying to answer personal questions for people here. It's just different. But also I got off topic question. How do you and Jordan know each other? Always see him giving love on the live. So actually, this is interesting. So Jordan joined Discord. In 2021. Yeah. And simply put, this is what happened. So I basically, and we'll probably end up going back to this soon. So what happened is I'm a firm believer in delegation and scale and, working your way up and things. And for me, Discord was getting too big. And I noticed Jordan pretty consistently. He was doing really well with trading, but there was other things about Jordan that had me more interested than just him trading. For instance, he would never join the live chat, which was the funniest thing ever. He would always type, but he would never join live chat. He would kind of disassociate himself with Discord. And really what Jordan was for me is Jordan showed me everything that was negative or unprofessional with Discord. In that sense of it. And I enjoyed it. Like I always say, I love criticism. I think criticism is one of the best tools that there is. I think if you do not like criticism, you just this might sound, narcissistic or misogynistic or, egotistical. I don't know. I think you're soft and you don't want to get better. And I'm constantly trying to get better, right? I've gone through, I missed on my, I probably would be making more money, honestly, with the other guys. But I missed on the opportunity. I took advantage of this one, and I wanted to constantly get better and better and better. So with Jordan, I just like slowly brought him on, and it was kind of like a trial phase. I was like, hey, look, I'll give you like $1,000 a month. Just help me manage Discord. That's all I got to do. Like, there's no pressure. You don't got to push trades. You don't got to do anything. And from there, it just progressed. And then I saw how much work he was putting in. And then ultimately got to the point where I was just like, again, this is why I always tell people. People are always like, well, Tyler, don't you, you make all this money from Discord. I gave up half of essentially all the Discord money to Jordan over the next like 7 months, which I'm fine like admitting. I don't care admitting, because it also proves the point that I don't need Discord necessarily to make all this. I don't have to use Discord for that, right? My whole point in everything I'm doing is bigger than just what's happening, here with Discord. I want that to be very clear. So like that's constantly been my thing. I constantly want to make it that it's not necessarily about how much money that I can make, each month from Discord and this. I make money from a lot of different, ways right now. So I want that to be really clear. And so I just noticed how good Jordan was at working. And another big thing that I learned in college, specifically like in marketing and when you're looking for a job, is you want to have someone that you want to show people you value them. And this can go for anyone in their business. I definitely think that even now, sometimes Jordan might disagree or Jordan might get a little bit whatever. I think that sometimes I kind of can overpay Jordan, to be honest. But I value someone that's as invested in something as I am. And Jordan, I quickly realized that he was invested in, not just how much money he can make, but how much everything can grow. Even if that meant making less money for a certain month, even if that meant we would lose members or anything like that. So that was constantly the goal. It wasn't to ever, it wasn't all about I need to make X amount of money. I need to make X amount. It was about how much can we make this better? What's the overall vision? That was the goal for me. And so I realized I can make money from you. I can make money from YouTube and sponsors and, my personal trading and then, doing real estate and other stuff. I can make that money like anytime I want. But if I want to actually grow this consistently and like keep a brand and keep everything there, I want someone that does the stuff that I am necessarily not the best at. Like I'm not the best at managing sometimes, or, time constraints, or, there's some stuff that I have to prioritize, and then Jordan can do the other stuff for me. So that's just for me. One sec. But yeah, so that's what it was for me. And so, but I want to say this though, and this is for anyone that runs a business, anyone. I think this is like, I'm young, so maybe take it with a grain of salt. But when you're working, and I've noticed this countless times working with my father. When you're working in real estate development, you work with a lot of contractors. A lot of people only care about getting the paycheck, right? Now, Jordan, don't get me wrong. He loves getting paid. But very few people care about what they're doing with work. Very few people will come back and fix things that they've done. Very few people will take accountability. Very few people can you have, you can get upset with, and it be strictly business, right? Or not take things personal. And instantly me and Jordan had that, right? And also too, like, Jordan does a lot of stuff he doesn't have to do. And so when you have those type of employees, and I don't even like to call Jordan an employee, but this is just food for thought on everyone. When you have those people, you have to take care of them. Like, it's rule number one. Like when you go to work for any company, Jordan already got his raise. There's no other raise. There's like no other raise that could come right now. So, but like when you have those people, and they tell you in college too, when you're going to get recruited, you literally, there's at UH, there's this class you have to take, and it's basically about the entire recruitment process, doing your tag. It's like everything you should have learned in high school that you didn't learn in high school. And when you're doing this, when you're doing this, they always tell you when you're going for interviews, you need to be basically interviewing them to a certain extent to make sure you want to stay there, right? And so my whole mentality was making sure that Jordan didn't really want to leave. I always say that my goal for Discord is to get people to leave, but my goal for Jordan is to get him to want to stay and to stay more invested and see the future, right? That was the goal always with us. But yeah. So that's like a good visual. And so I just recommend people, like, you got good employees, you'll learn it either the hard way or, you know, it is what it is. And some people will take advantage of you. There are those people. So it's hard to know those type of people. And Jordan could later on be a scumbag and try to, you know, screw me over. Possible. Anything's possible. But yeah. So there's when you got good workers or you got people that are heavily invested, I think it's hard to take advantage or to not take advantage, but in a way, yes, take advantage of that opportunity and seize it so they continue to want to be with you and work with you. Yeah, and so I like, this is why I like the work you and Jordan do. Probably the most honest, you know, important. You guys are honest, and yeah, that was like a constant thing that I learned. And again, these are just things I learned that I learned through college. So in college, a big thing, and probably the best class I took, I told Allie, because Allie's about to switch to UH. She might not go to main campus, which I'm like really trying to get her to do. And honestly, it's funny because I was talking to Allie too. I was like honestly, when we get married, I was like, you're probably not gonna like have to work anywhere. I was like, I'll probably just get you to work for me and like manage a lot of the real estate stuff. Have me and Jordan hung out in person. I live in Houston. He lives in Seattle. But this summer he should be coming down, or I might be going there in March. So we've been planning that out a lot too. But that's for a different talk. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Also, I don't know if Allie's watching this or not, so I don't want to say too much. What was I answering? Oh, college. So, like the most important college class I ever took was a marketing class. And his name, if you're in Houston, I recommend, his last name is McAndrews. I think his first name is Christian. I don't know. Anyways, so this guy was the head of marketing at Mattress Firm. If you ever like seen Mattress Firm, he was the one with the idea to leave the lights on all the time. If you ever seen Mattress Firm, they always have their lights on all the time. He signed the deal with Tempur-Pedic when the Tempur-Pedic first came out. He was there when Mattress Firm went public. I don't think they're public anymore. But anyways, he was there for a lot of that. And so his class was really, really cool. He is a religious guy, but he used a lot of real world examples that he did and, you know, from his career in which he ended up quitting. Now he runs a marketing firm. And so when we were talking about him, his biggest thing that he would go in, and he would usually, like, before, when he would get hired as a marketing firm, he'll go in and kind of like undercover boss type thing and just see what their sales tactics are, or how they do. And he did a lot of this with Mattress Firm too when he worked there. And the biggest thing for him was consistently being honest. And I kind of noticed that was just a thing in, like, when people talk about money specifically and just sales, he was like, you're either a used car salesman or, you know, you're high quality. There's no real in between. You can't look at a salesman and be like, I kind of like him or I hate him, right? There's no like you either love the guy you're talking to or you hate him. Simple as that. And so when I kind of like made the space, it was more all based on trying to be as honest as possible, in which I kind of slipped up. And that was AMC, which is the thing that kind of got me big in the beginning. And so when I would be honest, people hated it because people only wanted to be like swooned with that. But yeah, that was the main thing. And so he lives like very close to my parents. I ended up seeing him in like a grocery store one day, and I was like, hey, just so you know, like, your class like changed my life. It was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. But yeah. What was your biggest struggle with TA? What made you look at supply and demand? I've said this a million times. When you look at TA and stuff, it is. I've tried, again, I say it all the time. I've tried Elliott waves. I've tried, you know, I don't even want to say I tried MACD and stuff because I literally looked at it and I was like, this is stupid. It took me like a solid 3 days to look at like MACD and RSI and be like, you can't use this on small time frames. I'm like people that use it, I'm just like, good for you. Like, I think you're very lucky, but the end. But with supply and demand, like I said earlier, it's very much in tangent with fundamentals. If the way I look at it is you're going back and you're showing where previous buyers were and previous sellers, and you're able to see reactions based on that, right? So like, I love using like AMD as an example. Me and Jay called this in Discord too, like months ago. So you came right down into your massive supply area that you basically had held since like 2020. It was a major level, and you bounced there, and you bounced there almost again, right? So when you're looking at that, it just made me think. I was just like, and I was just doing a lot of like due diligence, like learning like what I wanted to use. And then I was just like, this just makes sense to me. It makes logical sense. Like if this is where buyers were before, this is where they're going to be looking again. And then further on, like even when like you use VWAP, like one of the few indicators I've always used is VWAP, right? Because VWAP is something that you can find out quickly that big firms use this. Big money is using the VWAP, right? And it's basically it's just a indicator showing where the most volume is and typically where the buys are coming in at, or sells for that case. So yeah, it just made sense to me in my head, like very quickly. RSI divergence for the win. Hey, I mean, if you use it, it works, good for you. But I'm saying for me, it's just, well, yeah. In my opinion, is secondary to the true nature of the market, which is the only read via supply and demand. I guess, yeah, kind of. I'm trying to see any questions. I don't see any more questions that I missed. Making sure. But yeah, so that was that. I mean, it was interesting getting started with TA and stuff. And I really can't remember like the basis of where I originally started. But yeah, it just led me back to supply and demand. I trade stocks or forex stocks. I trade a lot of options specifically. I think there's money in forex, and I can do it on interactive brokers, but I need to figure out how to manage it on interactive brokers with leverage, because I've never traded forex on interactive brokers. So like for instance, like with forex, I would still trade it. Like I think USD JPY was one of the easiest trades recently. It was like a very easy trade, and I wanted to take it. I just didn't know how to use interactive brokers, and I wasn't just gonna risk it, right? Anyways, but JPY has just been showing a lot of weakness lately. So yeah. What do you think about ICT? I actually think ICT is fine. I think he's good. I don't think he's bad. Back in the day though, he did not have the YouTube channel, I don't think. I like Trader Dante too. He was a big guy that I used a lot in the beginning. Yeah, he's on Twitter. He's pretty big. Pretty to himself. I always wanted people to like. I was never attracted to someone that posted crazy gains. That was never my thing. I quickly came into the reality of like, again, like it was just me subconsciously being around my dad all the time. Is I realized people that threw their money around or acted like they had all this money typically didn't have money or didn't really know how to make money, in real estate specifically. And so I was always unattracted to that, right? I mean, even half the time, like you'll see me, not that I make extensive amounts of money or anything like that, but rarely are you going to see me like flaunting anything. And the other half of the time, I generally look like I just roll out of bed, right? That's just how I carry myself though. I don't really like care to be, you know, Rolex and all this crazy stuff. Although I do want to buy myself a Rolex probably soon. I just want to have one. I don't know why I want one. Maybe it's, vain. Who knows? One way to lose followers. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of these guys have a lot of followers or are constantly flexing. Just saying. Yeah, you just made some drip. Do you watch any other YouTubers? So as of lately, I don't. Like I said though too, it's different for me. I used to watch Dead Inside a lot. I just don't right now because he trades a lot of value stocks and they're just doing terrible. Now, in my opinion, this is just me. I only I spend so much time like making videos. I spend so much time, talking about stocks and stuff. So usually like I want to disconnect. But what I do when I'm actually like watching YouTube channels, it's usually for me to get different ideas on how to improve my own channel. It's never for really enjoyment, unless it's like something like for sports. But yeah. Yeah, that was the biggest part for me. What got me into trading was my major. My major was finance. I always wanted to get into trading. I did an internship in college. I keep forgetting where it was. I forget the name of it. But their logo is like a rock. It's a that's how I know what it is. Um, but yeah, I never can remember. It was so long ago. But yeah, the biggest thing I was looking at is so U of H. They do the biggest part, like if you're in Houston, why I recommend going to UH or just going to any major university that you're around, is because typically it's easier to get a job. And so my whole mentality was, if I go to college, my whole purpose is that I can always get a job, right? Because again, I had a son at a very young age, so my mentality was always, I need to always have a backup plan. And so college was my backup plan. Like, that was just it. Prudential, yeah, Prudential. We did a thing at Prudential, yeah, yes. It was like a group internship thing we did. Yes, Prudential, and it got cut short because of COVID. 2020. Yep. So, yeah, that was an experience. That was stressful. It was interesting though. Um, but also too, like something interesting that like I learned from my internship. It was during COVID when everything was getting slammed, and he was like, it was like our like commencement thing when we were leaving, and he was like, these are like times like, when you're selling to investors or you're talking about it, you're finding plays and stuff. He was like, these are the times that like you take advantage of the market when it's getting slapped, when it's getting crushed. He was like, these opportunities only come around, once every 10 years, once every 20 years, and this is where you make your money. And like, he was right. I 100% agreed with him. I was like, dude, yes, I agree. Anyways, everyone knows after COVID, he shot straight up. So yeah. Todd, how much did you start with when you first started trading? In the beginning, dude, couldn't even tell you because I made money. It was like gambling. But when I really got serious with it with options, it was like 3,000 to 5,000. Yeah, I always tell people 3,000 to 5,000 we got to start with. If you start with lower than that, you're risking too much. Every trade. Who's your NFL team? The Saints are my favorite team. But I like a few other teams. I like a lot of players, but I like the Saints are my favorite team. I need real facts. Reason we're here. Bench. Highest bench ever done was 330. Probably right now I could probably get like 320. Yeah. Deadlift. Highest ever done was 5 plates. Never went over that. No, 5 plates and a 5. So I got to 5 plates and a 2 on each side. So it went to 500 flat. Squat. Never have I ever done over like 320. Never ever. I just don't. That's it. And I never really got serious into squatting until like after like sports in college. In my opinion, if you traded through this chop and recession and news, you're still a break even or even up, you're doing great. Probably, yeah. Sorry, do you find more success with day trades or swings? Swings are okay. So this is the biggest part of trading in my opinion. This is what I was saying with Qs. Like for instance, like when we being bearish in the market. I'm okay scalping and making money, but I make a bulk of my money from swings. So, for instance, on most of my swings, I make upwards of $4,000 per swing usually, right? Because I enter with more position size. Scalps, anywhere from 300 to 1,000 usually, right? 1,000's a great one. Like it just ran. I had a runner, it went great. So yeah. I swear people had this self-control. People shouldn't trade any cent of money until they save up 25K to sit on their account. You don't really need PD. You can just have a cash account. You don't need that much, but yeah. I think paper trading is unemotional, so it doesn't teach you a very important aspect of the game. Yeah, paper trading, I think you paper trade to learn your platform, understand what you're using, learning the tools, and that's it for me. Recommend thoroughly learning Greeks. There's a lot of people on YouTube that can help you out. One second, my dad texted me. But yeah. But I chart a lot of my. You can learn the Greeks for when you're swinging and stuff, and I think you should. But I monitor how an option moves before I enter it, so I usually have a general idea. Will you ever do a meet and greet? So honestly, the goal of what I want to do, I'm not even gonna lie. This is my goal. I've been saying this for a long time. I want to eventually, is to either have. I really want to have a winery. That's what I want to have. I really do. That's like my goal by the time I'm like, I don't know, when True turns 18, that's the goal, to move and have a winery. And then I'll probably start doing it after then. That's going to be a long time though. But like, I think Option Drops has tons of room to grow. I mean, like maybe if we get to a certain like level, if like we get to like over 100K subs and like the daily viewership is up on Option Drops, we will, but I don't know. It's just cost effective and things like that. So that's like the aspect. But if I did it too, I wouldn't want to do like everyone come down to Houston Mall and we'll hang out. No, I want to like do like something sweet. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I took Rogan to Vegas with us, right? Rogan was just someone that followed me. He was like one of my first real followers on TikTok, which was cool. But yeah, I think what you touched on earlier is so important. If you need to take profits, take them. Oftentimes we'll leave 20-30% on the table. That's what I'm saying, and everyone's different. So people are like, oh, you lost on a trade. I go into a trade understanding how much I'm willing to lose. So before I even enter the trade, I've already mentally lost that money, in my opinion. Like, you know, the only money that I'm really concerned about is what I have liquid to a large extent. So I don't look at it like, oh, I already made $5,000. You know, I can't look at it that way. I look at it as most of them I lost it. How do you find your plays, bro? What kind of DD do I do? So I do a lot of fundamental of understanding where I see the market going over the next 2 or 3 months. Then I use some technicals on the shorter aspect, and then I just find stocks I like and how they're moving. Again, it's all based on like what the market's going to give me, right? I'm not going to be able to take anything from the market. I have to look at what the market's doing, and I just trade with the trend or wherever I see us going. Trying to see trader tags market. So right now, you need to talk to an accountant for yourself. Like it's usually like $100. Go just talk to one, or consulting on it. But yeah, just go talk to an accountant. Guys, just go talk to an accountant. You always ask these questions. That's what I always say. But yeah. What are the other hobbies you do besides trading? So yeah, so Ali hates this. So, and again, like I want people to understand too, like when you're looking at like the reality of like trading and stuff, it's a lot. Like, I mean, even it's hard to explain. But I think this is with anything that you do. If you want to be successful, it becomes an obsession to a large extent. And for me, it definitely did. And it is, right? So to answer the question, what I do besides trading with hobbies, I used to work out a lot. I mean, I'm still in like, and the only reason why I even like retained any of my sizes is because I just didn't do any juice. I will say though, like in high school, I broke my collarbone, so I did take like pros back in the day, poor home runs, if you're familiar with those. But those were legal at the time. You could buy those from the store. Like you could go to any supplement store and buy them. So, but that was young and dumb. Like that was really young and dumb. I got into my best shape after high school though. So I did a lot of working out. Now it's just like I'm managing time for myself. That's the biggest thing. So I'll play games with Discord members a lot. Again, that's like Discord is essentially my life. Discord, YouTube, trading is like it's what I do. You know what I mean? So when I look at like what I do in hobbies, it's like people ask me, I'm just like, dude, like Discord, that's it. Discord, YouTube ideas. That's it. But now if I'm by myself, I'm really just probably either watching football, basketball, or playing Madden. That's probably what I do at home, my free time. If I'm not with my son or with Ali. Yeah. I will not be using 1348 ever. But yeah. Imagine option drops roid rage. Yeah, no, I know, right? So, yeah, but I'm slowly getting back into the gym. It's just a lot right now. I'm just like, it's again, managing time is the hardest thing to do for myself. As a beginner option trader, I sometimes find it difficult to look at a couple of different stocks all at once. It'd be better for me to just stick to trading Qs and SPY. I think Qs and SPY can be difficult. I think Qs and SPY can be very difficult. I reckon, I think finding some stocks are better. I always recommend people favorite stocks to look at. Apple, probably number one. Nvidia is a little bit more volatile, so just know that. Tesla right now is probably one of the best stocks you could be trading. AMD's a really slow mover, so yeah, you can trade those. So AMD, Apple, probably like your slower, more steady movers. Tesla, Nvidia, if you want some more volatility. You ever trade through an LLC or individually with a trader tax status? I did trader's tax status for a while. LLC is the way to go now for myself. But again, I recommend talking to your own accountant, right? Because probably what I'm going to end up doing just for tax benefits is doing it all through. I'm probably going to change option drops from an LLC to a corporation soon. And I think it'll be better for tax purposes for myself. Because just expenses and then other write-offs I can do with it. Because not only am I option drops is like everything that I do right now. So I'll be able to include the stocks into that also. Tyler lays on his time. You're not lying. I mainly play SPY and 561 min all day. Awesome. What screener do I use? It's all hand drawn. It's all American made. Tyler made. Oh, in a conversation, but yeah. I mean, you also gotta you're gonna get what you spend your money on. That's what I always tell people too, is we we look at taxes from the viewpoint of I don't want to spend any money. I'm just saying, if you're trading, you're gonna have to spend money on taxes first of all. Number two, I'm just saying, average tax guy, you probably just go have a consultation like 100, 150 bucks. I mean, you can go find a really good one, probably pay like 400 bucks and get the best answer, and he'll work his ass off for you. Again, you get what you pay for 90% of the time, unless someone just is overcharging. Super dad's a good problem. It is a good problem to have. Not gonna lie. Opened a couple Teslas, $80 made puts after Jay Bravo chart on Tesla. Do you watch Jay Bravo? I know who he is. I've watched him actually just for things that he does on his channel. I'm always trying to refine my channel. I'm always trying to make my channel better, right? So if I had to divide how much time I spend outside of just looking at charts into making everything else better, it's probably another 2-3 hours a day. So I like Jay Bravo. I think he's interesting. I just don't spend an extensive amount of time on his channel. I don't really watch anyone though. That's the thing though. I don't that's honest. I don't spend that much time on you, because if I spent more time on YouTube, it'd be insane. it'd be ridiculous. Yeah. I do want to give y'all a perspective too, just on my my main channel. I give y'all a visual real quick of this is good for anyone else's business and stuff, right? So I'm just gonna give y'all a real quick visual of this. So we're gonna go to. Can you go to oldest anymore? You cannot. That's the stupidest thing in the world. I can just zoom back real quick. It'll be really quick. When you're looking at changing stuff in your business, you're gonna have really interesting reactions over and over. So let's just go over a few of these reactions that we've had here on the channel. obviously I stopped talking about AMC. I was like, dude, I'm done. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to move on with my life. So we went from talking about AMC to just doing stocks, obviously. And so I was like, I want to disassociate and I want to get different people watching my stuff. So I had to do drastic change. And so when I did that, my viewership died. I went from like 10,000 views a day to I did some educational videos first to get me out of it. And then I was getting like 2,000 views a day, sometimes less, right? And so Jay Bravo will make you jump off your roof in despair. I don't even know what that means. But like we just kept doing this, right? Just making videos and videos, and then like it slowly went up. You slowly started to see like some retention go up and up. It was getting better, back and forth, there and there and there. Then eventually I started putting my face back on. And so I just made different changes throughout on the channel, just over and over, like content wise, right? So then I got to like 5,000. I'm just giving you all a visual understanding this is going somewhere. And you start seeing this take place, and I'm getting more, 6,000. Then I have a big spike to like 7,000. And then it's just slowly rolling over, getting big, like 10,000. This was like a great month. I remember this. And then it led into, you know, kind of dropping back down. And then I kind of talked with Jay. We had like a kind of like, I always bounce ideas off of Jay too, just for the, you know, YouTube. I'm like, ultimately, like, what are my goals? Where do I want to go with this? And so when you look here, then I obviously started changing it up, making higher quality thumbnails. I started using the green screen now, and that's where you're getting more like this. And it's just like, you know, trying to upgrade it over and over and over. So like, whereas before I used to use a lot of like, you know, SPY, S&P to kind of rank better. And it does. You do rank better. 100%. But yeah, I just wanted to look more clean. And as you can see now, I'm trying to make it look as clean as possible. But what I'm saying there though is when you make these big changes on whatever you're doing, you're going to see maybe like negative impacts initially. So what does this mean? Like, and I think it's really interesting that like this goes back into like trading for me too, is whenever I make big changes on, you know, maybe changing my position size or changing some of the trades I'm getting into or changing things with Discord or anything like that, I'm always going to notice like maybe everything's going to slow down initially when I make a big drastic change. But over time, you're going to see your quality or your overall, what you want to see your growth happen, go up and up and up and up and up. And that's really like the goal too for me is like it's constantly to get better and better and better. So I encourage people, like when you make big changes, yeah, you may not get the instantaneous results that we want, you know, sucks. It is what it is. But it's really cool. Like as you start to see them play out and play out and play out. How often do you upgrade your phone? I have the last year's iPhone. I could upgrade it right now. I just don't. I don't know why. Just haven't done it. That's a random question. But yeah, so. Although, Ali just got the new one and I kind of want it. I'm not going to lie. So, yeah. Ow. Also, too, man, like when you really think about like how much time I spend at my desk every day, I had to buy a standing desk. It was actually probably the best investment for myself. Man, I am spending on average probably 8-9 hours at my desk all day, not just trading, everything in between, and it's just like so much. It is like a lot. It is a lot. So like standing desk was really cool as an investment, and it definitely made a difference in my back and stuff. So usually I'm trying to go back and forth, but man, like I didn't realize how much I was like sitting here. I started like setting a timer to clock it, and I was like, dude, I'm like spending hours. So when people say like when you're day trading, you're only spending like 30-40 minutes a day here, I'm just like, bro, what are you talking about? Standing desk or ergonomic chair? I got both, so I don't know. My chair is pretty great, but standing's probably better for you overall. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know how people say they day trade for like 30 minutes a day. It's the craziest thing to me. Like I guess you could, but okay. I'd love to see your gains and losses. I'm also about to start doing that. I'm about to sign up for TradeZilla. I want to do that this weekend. So I can start posting and going over wins and losses for everyone. 15-minute workday. You dude, not lying. Set a timer so you can get up and move around. Honestly, I usually stand up. I usually stand up all day. No. I stand up, move around. When I make videos, I'm usually standing up too. So it's just getting me out. It also gets me to more like, this is just from me. It gets me more productive sometimes. If I just change what I'm doing, it just gets me a little bit uncomfortable, which is usually good. So probably one of the biggest things for me. What makes you more upset? Selling too soon on a day trade or missing profits and holding too long or losing position? So usually I don't hold too long on a losing position. I usually hold a trade to where it's profitable. Like good example, past month and a half. Home Depot, Nvidia, Q's now. You know, those trades all went up. Q's went up like 50%. But like those all trades went up 30, 40% on a swing, and then, you know, you kind of bounce back up, right? So that's probably the most frustrating sometimes when I just don't take profits for myself, but that's it. Getting out too early doesn't really make a difference for me, because it's like I have targets, right? So when you have rules and you're disciplined, it's different for you. That's the biggest thing, is like, are you disciplined in what you're doing? You know what I mean? So for me, like I'm pretty I stay pretty disciplined with targets. So when I hit them, I'm okay, you know, trimming some off, right? So rarely will that happen to me to where like something just runs out of control. But yeah, so that mentally doesn't affect me. It's more when I get greedy and I let things, or I get too aggressive sometimes. That's like why in Discord, someone was like we were talking about it, and someone was like, "Oh, are you still holding your Qs?" I'm just like, dude, look, I have mine, but if a trade goes up 50%, 40% in value, like what else do you want me to say? You know what I mean? Like what else is there to say in a way? Like, how do you react to that? I'm like, you know, what else do you want to, what was your target? How much I'm really far down. I'm like, if you were up 50% and you're down 20% now, and the 20% is hurting you, why did you not take profits when you're up 50%? You know what I mean? Like there's a disconnect from reality. You don't understand risk to reward, and you're probably just gambling. So that's what I always say. Like, you know, be careful with what you're doing. I'll answer a few more questions too before we hop out of here. I gotta go pretty soon though. It was pretty good. I'll probably do these more often here and there on the channel. I'll leave these up. These, again, no membership or nothing on this channel. So this channel is gonna be a little bit more leaving stuff active. I'll probably post a video on this channel. I might not do one tomorrow. I'm debating how I'm gonna do it, because there's no way I'll be able to record a video on this channel tonight. I might be able to, maybe. Let's see. We also got football. Football comes on like 2 hours. But yeah. Any more questions before we hop out of here? Any more? If too personal or off topic, answer no worries. But how did you and Ali meet? Been following you for a very long time. You seem to be happy with her. Congrats, you both. I don't care about answering this. So this is interesting. I'll answer another question too. What platform do I trade on? Interactive Brokers. You can actually use my link. It's on my other channel on option drops, or you can just go use them. But I use Interactive Brokers. I love their fills. They're great. Do we have an inverted head and shoulders on Spice weekly? I've seen it. You kind of do have one forming. Yeah, you have like a cup and handle too. Cajun's been calling that. So me and Ali. So it's really funny if y'all have been following me at all. I used to do a lot of lives on the other channel. Other channel definitely was more of a douchebag channel. I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of my thing. I thought it was fun and it worked. It was awesome. I'm not like unhappy. I've nothing wrong with that. It was kind of like the identity of the channel for a while. But for my plans and what I want to do with option drops, I had to become more professional, right? Because what I want to do with it, I can't have that old identity. Maybe I could, but yeah. If I'm gonna do that, I have to do that here, which I probably will later on. But yeah. So If you don't remember, I was banned from Tinder and everything essentially. Um, everyone knows that. Uh, it was kind of like an ongoing joke. Anyways, so I was not at all looking to meet anyone whatsoever. Um, but I think all my accounts got like unbanned or something, and we just matched or something, and we went on a date. And I never go on dates with anyone, personally. Um, I think it's ridiculous to spend money on. I think this is my opinion. People can get upset. You can call me whatever you want. I don't mind. I'm honest with you guys. I think it's ridiculous to spend money on people if your only goal is to hook up. My mentality. Okay, I get it. Whatever. Some people like to go out, go on dates. That's ridiculous in my opinion. Especially when I wasn't making a lot of money. I was not spending any excess money on women. This is not Andrew Tate or anything. I'm just saying, if their goal is to not be in a relationship and your goal is not to be in a relationship, why are we going on dates? That was my mentality. Anyways, Allie would not give me the time of day. Allie, I think I like started talking to her in like July 2021. We like had been talking here and there. And she just did not give me the time of day. And so, and I think eventually, I just like messaged her. I was like, look, it was funny because I didn't have my car at the time. Something was like wrong. And I was getting the new one delivered or something. So I wasn't going to have a car. And then I had my son all summer. So I was like, look, October 14th. And no, I said August 14th or something like that. I was like, which was like 2 months down the line. And this is just my personality too. I'm just really sarcastic. I was like, look, stop what you're doing. August 14th. I'll be at your house at X time. Just be ready. And yeah. And then she was just like, all right, cool. And so like that's just kind of how it happened. And then we ended up hanging out. And then she blew me off for another month. And then it just worked out. I don't know why. It just worked out. But we took I think on like our second, because I had a trip planned to Oregon for November, and I was going with my brother and his girlfriend. They've been dating for like 4 or 5 years, and they were like, you should invite the girl. I was like, I should invite her? What are you talking about? Like, we've been talking for like a month. She already wasn't giving me the time of day. Anyways, I ended up inviting her, and that's like when we really started dating. After that. That was like a month into us dating. We went to Oregon for like a week. And that is how that happened. Pretty interesting. Do you look at options, sales to trade, or which platform? Do you look at option sales to trade? If so, which platform? I look at a lot of Thinkorswim. And I don't use Thinkorswim to trade because I don't like their fills, but I look at them a lot. Dead. That's exactly how it happened. Not gonna lie. Now Allie's obsessed with me. She's already called me like 2 times during this live stream. But yeah. But also too, like, this is just for me. I don't want to be, not even because like the money thing too, but I had a son, so I didn't want to bring anyone around my son. So that was like a big thing for me. And it wasn't that I was at all talking to the mother of my child, but I just had a lot of respect. My parents, like, I never saw anyone else. My parents are still together for this time, but like, I just never wanted that to be around my son. Even if like, even if like the mother of my child, but other guys around my son, I never wanted to have that disrespect on my end. Because I just understood like the confusion that can have on the child. So yeah, that was a really big thing for me. So there was like a lot of aspects. It wasn't just me being a misogynistic asshole and just like trying to get with as many girls as possible. But it was just like I was just working so much, so I just didn't have like the interest. And by the time that like I met Allie, I was definitely like over it. I had just got back from Vegas. I had done everything that I really wanted to do. I was like, okay, probably time to be done. First time talking message, I thought it was a scam account for real. But yeah. Let's say your swing trade isn't profitable yet. How long do you hold that swing we're cutting for a trade. I have targets. It's like if I'm looking at, like I said on NQ, right? So on NQ, if NQ breaks above, if it makes a new local high, I'll probably end up cutting my Qs. But yeah. Ugh. My son's just 5. He just turned 5 on Halloween. Yep. But looking back on everything, the way everything happened, it all happened out perfectly. I definitely can't complain. You know, I went through some pretty depressing times, but I think all of it worked out really, really well. Couldn't have gotten better. Where did you get the name Hefe? Dude, look at me. I'm just, dude, I'm the Don. Come on. Are you looking to get married soon? Actually married, like everything in general, like that's probably like a little ways off, but I'll probably be engaged soon. I'll probably pop the question eventually. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I don't know why Jordan wants me. Jordan's like an advocate for me to get married. No idea why. X Games mode. He ain't lying. Yeah. It's a very expensive process. I thought Jeffy. Oh no, it's Hefe. Jeffy? That was the character off of The Ringer? That's kind of offensive. But yeah. Prenup? No. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. If you are getting a prenup, I don't think you're really confident that you want to marry that girl or whoever you're marrying. I think that's ridiculous. But also, hypothetically, like let's say that like I did get married and whoever I marry, or Allie, me and Allie get married, and she takes all my money. We have a kid, and she just wants child support, etc. Like, one, I don't think that would happen. I wouldn't marry someone I thought that would happen with. There's a lot of core values that I look for. Two, I'm confident in myself that I can make all my money back easily. Like, whatever. I could lose half of all my money. I could lose all my money right now, and I think for sure I could make it all back within the year, right? Yeah. Honestly, the scariest thing isn't even a prenup. The scariest thing is freaking child support. That's child support's the thing people need to be worried about. Honestly, that's what I'm gonna tell my son. Like, look, you know, you're having sex. Like, dude, you should really consider what child support's gonna do to you for the next 18 years. It is not cheap. It is not a cheap, especially the more successful you become, the more ridiculous it becomes. It's crazy, but yeah. Thanks, Jacob. Appreciate it. But yeah, I again, some people disagree. I don't really care if people get like a prenup. Like, do whatever you want. I'm just saying, why I divorced? I was never married. Big differences, but yeah. Football picks. I got course Chiefs over Jags. I like the over though. I like the over is 53 at Chiefs over City. I'm gonna show you the parlay I would take. I've been looking at it all morning. Honestly, the only reason why I haven't taken it because I think Allie would be mad at me if I took it. So I haven't deposited. I just keep all the money off of it right now. But this is what I'd be doing today. I'd be taking the over. I would take the Chiefs straight up line has gone down. That's terrible. I would take the over Chiefs just to get it up to like 124. The Giants and Eagles. This is tricky. I think you take the under 48 though. That's what I would think, but it's dangerous. Or you can just take the straight up and it gets you almost like plus 200. But yeah, I think the risky one is -8. I think the Giants are going to get killed though. to be honest. But they play each other 2 times a year, so it's hard to assume a blowout. So I think just a straight up is the way to go there. But the Eagles are just too good. So this is what I would take today. I take this all as one bet. I think that's the money one. And I'd probably put 700 on it if I was going to take it. I might take it, actually. I might. I'm actually waiting to see if they're going to give me a deposit bonus today. If they do, then I'll probably... But I'm telling you, it's my advice. Anyways. But yeah. Don't listen to Seahawks. I did say Seahawks last week, and they had him in the first half. They did. Arbitrage betting. Look, I don't gamble to make money. It's more of just like it makes watching the games more fun for me. But yeah, don't gamble as a reliable source of income. That's ridiculous. Arbitrage betting, though, it is an interesting concept. How far do you buy options for scalps? Either weeklies or the week after. I usually only buy week after if it's like a Thursday or a Friday. But it usually has to be a Friday for me to buy week out. As of recently, sorry, man, bad. I'm telling you, like I have not been going to the gym like as much as I used to, but I've never been this consistent on a diet, especially on keto. Like it's pretty amazing how strict I've been on it. Anyways, what I will say is, I don't know why, but it's been like, I don't know, it's like indigestion. I don't know what it is, where you burp or whatever, but like, I don't know. It's so strange. What was behind your logo rebrand? Do you have long-term goals for growing your Discord? This is super interesting. I usually don't trade 0DT. So this is, do you ever trade live every day in Discord? Yeah, this is a good question. So like, what were what was behind my logo rebrand? And do you have long-term goals for Discord? So I don't want to go too in detail with it. I think there's some examples out there. But the goal with Discord is to eventually subsidize everything to more direct, to get away from Discord and make it very, very, very cheap. So like right now, Discord is around $60. But again, this is like my opinion on it. I consistently watch people leave our Discord and go to other Discords, and they have to go to social media to talk to the owner of the Discord. They have to email. They don't actually get access to talking to the person that they're, paying to get the content from, right? Whereas like in my Discord, I'm going to tell you right now, like it's, like I said, it's my life. Like I don't think people spend as much time here on Discord. I mean, like you're going to get me and Jay talking all day, right? You're gonna have people adding me, hey, reading your posts, what would you add more? Would you do this? Would you do that? I'm talking in voice all day. It's so much, right? It's just never ending, right? And that's why I believe like it's worth me charging more right now. But eventually I want to subsidize it to where it is a self-sustaining community, and then where it's also bullet points of me and Jay or whoever's, in charge of Discord at that point, or whoever, like if I bring anyone else in, right? Like you get access to that at periods throughout the day at specific times. So like there will always be like a watch list. There will always be a breakdown of trades and where we see futures going. And there will always be like an end of the day type recap, which I'm about to start adding, right? So these are things that are always gonna be consistent, but I will probably be less engaged throughout the day, if that makes sense, right? As I scale. And that's the longer term goal. That's not the goal at all right now. So yeah, that's my plan for it. So, and when I look at with the double cup, and again, like I was saying, it was more of like, it was very almost like fraternity-esque, looking at the brand of option drops. It was me showing up, chugging White Claws, this and that, which I still can do on live. Like I don't mind doing that on live and stuff like that. But the long-term aspect of what I want to do is create a real brand and professional. That's my audience is, if I've looked at it too, the data on my primary channel, my audience is between 30 and 60 years old. They're not college kids, right? Those college kids, and it makes sense, college kids want to get rich quick. They want to, feed into whatever, making money really quick, right? People that are between 30 and like 60, they understand investing. They understand what I'm doing, right? I can say everyone that's on like the mentorship right now, paying the upper end of getting like full access one-on-one, teaming us all the time and, one-on-one, lessons and stuff. Like they had the mentality but they're all older. They're all over. Like I don't think any of them's under 25. I could be wrong. I don't think so though. So yeah, it just makes sense. So it's like I had to understand who's watching and like viewership, and then what are my goals, right? Like, do I want to still do that and have fun with it? Yeah, I do. That's why I can do that stuff here. Like on this channel, I can, it's not as gonna impact the overall brand maybe. And that's why I, now if you look at my channel, right? That's why I'm getting to the more of my one, identifying my face. I do have t-shirts in some of these videos, but it's like I'm working my way up to switch things, but it just looks more professional than some of these other ones, right? And that's my goal. That's what I want to do here, right? So anyways, so it's like what I was saying earlier, like you make big 25 and 25. So yeah, that was the reasoning and logic behind it. I'm kind of like just looking ahead, right? But I'm not like, we're not anywhere close to where I have to be to subsidize everything and make it, more constrained, more nitpicked, more focused at all. We're not close to that. So that's like 2 years out probably. Me and Jay have talked about that a lot. So yeah. And that's another thing with Jay is like, him being a part of the team is it's me trying to get, making sure he's in line with the long-term goal. Like, my goal is, again, it's not like, is making a few $1,000 off of Discord a month cool? Yes, but it's a lot of work. I don't get to enjoy a lot of stuff. I don't think people like realize, like, there's been times like Jay, I was going to take off, I believe the first week of December, but I just didn't. Like, I just got busy. Like I was like, I can't afford to do it right now. I have sponsorships and stuff. I can't do it. So I ended up not taking off. And it does, like, it affects my relationship with Ali sometimes because, she'll get mad. Work comes first, right? Right now, like she gets it. You know what I mean? Like she understands like the goal and the vision of like, my goal too is, I worked and I understood and I followed I watched my mom and dad grow up when, they had me, my brothers. There was me. I have three brothers that live with me. I have a sister that was with us every other week. And then I have my aunt, who's basically my sister. She's my mom's sister, but she's 21 years younger. And her parents died, so she moved in with us when she was 13, and she's 3 years older than me, so I was 10. So like there's like 5, 6 of us in the house, all kids, right? And so I witnessed and watched my parents, who didn't get any further really than a high school diploma, right? Somehow managed to get us, all out of the house, grown, all had college opportunities if we wanted to take it, So I definitely don't want to have the mother of my kids have to work like that. My mom worked a lot, which wasn't my dad's fault. It was they put themselves in that situation, right? There's consequences, right? Just like when I had my son at a young age, like I had to endure a dog shit for 2 years of work. It was tough. It was really tough. Why wife is 12 years younger than my mom isn't that much younger. My aunt, who's like my sister basically, she's 21 years younger than my mom. My mom and dad are like the same age. But anyways, that doesn't matter. But like that's like my plan though. Like I don't want to have her work and stuff when we decide to have kids down the road. So she like understands it all. Like she's like I definitely think she's very understanding compared to other people about how much I work. So yeah. So but these are good questions. They're actually really good. I mean, if she wants to work, she can work. I mean, I told her, I'm like, if you ever want to work, I don't care. I can be a sugar baby. I tell Allie all the time, I'm like, dude, look, you can go get that college degree. Bro, I'll try to help you set up and get a job. You can do it all. I don't care. I'll just do Discord for fun. Make it free. She quickly said no. She quickly said, it's okay. I can wait a few years. I'm not like gonna. I didn't tell her she couldn't work. I just said, look, you know, my parents had to work a lot when I was young. But yeah. Anyways, that's my viewpoint. So I'll probably do these more often too here on the channel. I think these are cool. I think these are good. I think people ask a lot of these questions on my normal lives and option drops, so I just can't talk about them because I'm like going over a million different things and I'm usually trading. So I definitely want to do these more often. Probably these are really long live, so I'm probably about to get out of here. But I'll leave this up. If y'all have questions, y'all can ask too and leave comments. But that's pretty much it for today. Yeah, so I don't know. Anyways, it was a really good live. That's probably it for me though. I'm gonna go get ready, watch some football, go eat some food. But yeah, you guys have a good one. I appreciate y'all. Like, subscribe, or whatever.